Kia ora, Mike. It's Mike Atkinson. This video is going to look at the different ways to present or express map coordinates. There are two main ways of showing map coordinates, either the geographical coordinates through latitude and longitude or through grid coordinates. And there's two ways of expressing those, full grid coordinates or a six-figure. Now there are separate presentations for a six-figure grid reference, which is probably the most common way, and there's also a separate YouTube clip on looking at geographical coordinates. So this presentation is giving you an overview, and then for more in-depth, go to those other presentations for more information. Map coordinates are a way of expressing or showing a position. As mentioned in the last slide, they can be geographical coordinates and they are given as latitude and longitude, or they can be expressed as grid coordinates given as eastings and northings. Now on New Zealand Topo 50 maps, they show both the geographical and the grid coordinates on them, and this presentation will show you how to interpret and use those. Right, let's look at geographical coordinates first. These are measured in degrees, minutes, and seconds. So degrees symbol is a small circle, elevated, minutes is a 1 dash, and seconds is 2 dashes. Now each degree is divided into 60 minutes, and every minute is divided into 60 seconds. On the Topo 50 maps, the longitude and latitude are shown on these long black lines on the vertical and horizontal axis with these small black dashes along here. Lines of latitude run from east to west along the Earth's globe, and lines of longitude run north-south along the globe. There is a whole another video presentation on latitude and longitude on Moodle, so if you want more detailed information about how they work, how they're used, then have a look at that. But this presentation is really just showing you how to read it on a 1 to 50,000 map and not look at the in-depth nature behind it. So just so we're clear, these lines here that are on the map, these are grid lines, not lines of latitude or longitude. The lines of latitude are these little markers here that run east to west, and then of longitude run north to south are these little black markers here, but they don't run over the whole entire map, just the grid lines do. So when expressing latitude and longitude coordinates, you always give the latitude first. And if we look at this example here, so we've got a trig labelled AAEN with a spot height of 772 metres above sea level. So let's give latitude and longitude for this here. So given we do the latitude first, you go across from here until you get to that black line there. Now we have to go to our first marker of latitude, which is 43 degrees and 40 minutes, and then we're coming down, so we would need to go 41, 42, and that one there would be 43 minutes. So then we divide between 42 and 43 minutes into 60 seconds. So divide this into 60 and we get roughly 50 seconds. So you express that as 43 degrees, 42 minutes and 50 seconds south, meaning south of the equator. Then to express them as longitude, so again go along to our mark that we want to position, and we come straight down to the line of longitude to here, go to our marker, we've got 171 degrees and 5 minutes, that's that marker there, so 5 minutes, 6, 7, 8, 9, so between the 8 and 9, as we divide that into 60, so we have 171.08, 6, 7, 8, and then divide this into 60, and it's roughly halfway, so it's about 30. So that would be expressed as 171 degrees, 8 minutes and 30 seconds east of the meridian line, prime meridian line. The other way of expressing or showing a position on a map is to use grid coordinates. Grid coordinates are equally spaced vertical and horizontal lines that are superimposed on a map, and they each have a number representing each line on the vertical and the horizontal axis. Now the vertical grid lines here are called eastings. Now their number increases as you move further east. Now it can be a little bit confusing because vertical lines is north to south, but they're called eastings. So imagine that you wanted to measure something that runs along from west to east along the horizontal. Then to get a measurement of it, you need to measure down vertically to get that measurement. Conversely, the horizontal lines are called northings, and so again, if you wanted to measure something north to south, then you have to cut across it using the horizontal measurements that come across. So it's a little bit confusing, but just try and imagine that you are trying to measure something. Where would you measure it from? Now there are two methods or two ways to express grid coordinates. You have a full grid reference, which ends up with a 14-digit number, which is a bit more detailed, or a 6-figure grid reference, which is a bit more simplified, and you would end up with 6 digits down here. Now we'll just look at both of those individually. In the bottom left hand corner of your map, you'll see some numbers here, all ending in an N and one ending in an E. Now I've blown that corner up over here. Now if you look at let's take the northern one. So the small number 51, that's not going to change on this map. What will change is the next two numbers in the large, so the 5 and the 4, come back here. So this line here, horizontal line, is 5-4, and then as you head north, it increases. All right, so 5-5, 5-6, 5-7, and then there's 3 zeros. The 3 zeros represent more detail. We'll look at those in a minute. If you look at the eastings, so you've got 1-4, so that's again the number that's not going to change on this map. But then the next two digits of 44 means that this vertical line here is 44, this one's 45, 46, 47, and so on. So to look at our same grid here, AEN trig, then we would do the eastings first. So we go along, so we would write the number 14. Remember, that's not going to change. But the next two digits will, so what's that going to fall into? It's going to fall into between 50 and 51. All right, so then you put a 5 and then break between 50 and 51 into tenths, and we've roughly got maybe about a 4 there, so that if that was 5 was halfway there, then this is going to be a 4, and so it's 504. And the last two digits would provide even more detail, but you might get that on a GPS unit, but you're not going to get this accuracy just by looking at it, so we'll just put 2 zeros there. So the easting is 14,504,00 east. Then the northern, so this is the northern, how we measure the northern up this vertical axis here. So we go 5-1, that's the small one that doesn't change on this map. 5-8, so this is 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, so it's between 58 and 59. So we write 5 and then breaking 58 and 59 into tenths. All right, that would sit about 2, so it's 582, and again 00 for the last two digits. We haven't got that level of detail. to the north. So there's your full grid reference for full grid reference. And finally, looking at a six-figure grid reference to give you a position. This is probably the most common method used. Now, the first thing you need to do is quote your sheet or map number, and that's found on the front cover of your map up here. Or if you print it off the internet, then a section of the map, then it should also have the map or sheet number there. So this one here for Hakateri is BX19, so that's the start of your six-figure grid reference, but not these two digits here aren't part of the six figures. Then again, we do eastings first, so we're going along and we look at using again our same trig. We have 504, and so we write 504, and then we do the northings, and we get 582. So there's your six-figure grid reference there. Now, if you go back to the previous one with a full grid reference, you'll notice that the first two digits of both the eastings and the northings don't change, and the last two digits don't change either, but the middle three digits should be the same as a six-figure grid reference. So hopefully this will, remember there's more information on six-figure grid reference, another presentation on that, but hopefully this gives you a bit more broader understanding about different coordinates, and especially when you come to use a GPS and how you can relate a GPS coordinate to a grid reference, and hope that makes sense working between the two different systems. And finally, all this information about giving a grid reference is on a map. So if you purchase a full map, this little table, each of them have this table here, and shows you how to do a six-figure grid reference as well as the full grid reference up in here. It doesn't show you how to do a geographical coordinates, latitude and longitude, but this table here can be useful if you forget.